Okay, thank you very much. And hello to everyone. So I'm Aishwarya and I work as a product manager at an AI automation company. So today I will be talking to you about like recently we saw how ChatGPT has become really popular. So we'll take a look at some of the useful use cases with generative AI has across various different domains. So there will be different domains like e-commerce and engineering and sales and marketing, which will be very greatly impacted by the rise of generative AI. So we are going to take a look at some of the use cases in there, and in the beginning we can sort of talk about how generative AI started, and then towards the next sections we'll see how generative AI can sort of improve customer operations and sales and marketing, software engineering, and some of the other fields. And then towards the end, you can let me know, what you think about it, or if you may have any questions, so we can talk about that as well. So, Akasam, can you please confirm to me if the slides are changing for you? Like, I
Yes,
hope it's
yes.
not. Okay.
Yeah, it's all fine. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. Okay, so in the beginning, we'll just talk about what generative AI is, and what is like the big deal about it. So basically, like if I have to classify artificial intelligence, so it is primarily, you can divide it into four domains. The first one is computer vision, which is the equivalent of having a machine have human eyes and like the ability to see. So in the previous years you must have seen that there are many softwares and computer vision tools which have been developed for image recognition and pattern recognition and OCR recognition. So you can consider it the aspect of a machine having human eyes and being able to see. And then next domain, the second important domain is that of speech recognition, which is the ability for a program or a machine to hear. Like, for example, if I give it like a human speech, can it understand what the human is saying? And this is so generally artificial intelligence is different from normal algorithms in the way, like, for example, if you have a calculator on your desk, so is that going to be, is that AI? It does use some logic and it is fast and efficient, but I wouldn't classify it as AI because I still need to tell the calculator what to do. So the critical difference between AI and algorithm, like a normal algorithm, is that an algorithm is generally used only for problem solving, that okay, calculate what is 73 plus 18, or do some xyz straightforward things, whereas AI is more about problem solving as well as learning, and generally there are large data sets which are also associated with AI. So that's the key difference. So we talked about computer vision, we talked about speech recognition, then of course the third important field in AI is related to robotics, which is the equivalent of a human, a machine being able to move like a human and move its parts. And now the generative AI field, which I'm coming to, is related to the fourth field, which is just related to, what we call as natural language programming, which is can a machine read like a human does? So, four key skills we, all of us humans have. I mean, most of us, like the ability to see, the ability to hear, the ability to move. And NLP is the one which is related to the ability to read. So this is how the generative AI came into picture, and it's more or less based on advanced NLP techniques. And okay, so here we see that generative AI is very closely based on foundation models. So what do we mean by foundation models? So foundation models, you can imagine that like for example, in the early days of computer science, we all are familiar with the simple constructs of computer science, like if else loops and for loops and all those kind of things. But foundation models are a bit more advanced in the way that they have a lot of feedback mechanisms also involved. that they try out something, and then based on a positive or negative reaction, they then sort of like take the feedback from in there and then implement like the next improved version of like whatever task they were given. So, and foundation models are often based on like the structure of the human brain. So just like how the human brain has a lot of neurons, and those neurons communicate with each other and sort of keep transmitting information and keep receiving and giving feedback. So sort of generative AI is mostly based on foundational models like that. And recently, especially during the past 1 year, we have seen how generative AI has been a great technology catalyst, and we saw like many popular tools coming up, like ChatGPT and GitHub Copilot, and also Stable Diffusion. So, Stable Diffusion was a text to image converter, and I'm sure you know about ChatGPT, which has the ability to sort of summarize large pieces of data and to be able to take small inputs from you and convert it into a full-blown email, for example, or a full-blown article. And yeah, I mean, generative AI has been quite versatile in accomplishing routine tasks and also behaves very good as an assistant, especially in creative endeavors. So this is just a brief introduction about generative AI. And okay, just a quick look for a minute on the economic landscape. So there has been a very, huge amount of funding which has been going on, especially in machine learning and deep learning since the past few years. And just in the first 5 months of 2023, because of the advent of OpenAI's technology and LLMs, we saw $12 billion and more being invested into generative AI technologies alone. And it has garnered a lot of global attention and a lot of experiments being done by the companies along with the consumers. And I mean, the majority of the investments have been primarily in North America, especially in the Bay Area and Silicon Valley. So this is just a brief overview for generative AI and its history so far. And now we are going to take a look at some of the important, domains where generative AI can be very useful. So first, we'll take a look at customer operations. So, as you can imagine, a lot of customer operations involve, suppose I am a customer operations specialist, then a large part of my job will involve, talking with the customers and troubleshooting their problems and their queries, or if they're stuck on something, then being able to help them. And many of that may be a bit repetitive in nature. So you can see that wherever tasks are there, which are slightly repetitive in nature, and which you can imagine that it will be easy for a machine to do, and it is already becoming popular. Like if you use the popular grocery ordering apps or food apps like Zomato or Blinkit and so on, you will see that their chatbots already have some amount of automation in that. Like they can more or less just ask you, oh, okay, what is the problem you're having with your order? Was there an object missing? Would you want to refund? Stuff like that. So there is already some amount of automation going in there, but generative AI can help take that to a whole new level. So like first, so you can take a look at these images. These images will be quite self-explanatory. So generative AI can largely help you a lot in self-service interactions. So in the picture, you are seeing a lady who is sort of taking her shopping bags and sort of checking out of the mall and just typing in things and sort of just completing the transaction and the billing. Because as you may have seen, the whole billing process in malls, generally it takes like a lot of time and there's a lot of back and forth sometimes, and the task is overall a bit repetitive. So perhaps a full-blown human capability is not needed for that task. And a customer can interact with a human like chatbot, and this kiosk can be, can have generative AI infused into it. And before checking out, it can ask like a couple of questions that, hey, do you want to purchase something for 200 rupees more? Because then I'll give you, I don't know, 10% off on your next purchase. So all these are very standardized things, which, the employees at the kiosks do. So here, that whole experience can be automated and enhanced. Then when we come to customer agent interactions, so here you are seeing in the picture a lady who is the agent and the end customer. So when they are interacting, especially when they are having an online interaction, so in those cases, I can sort of, if I am this person who, who is interacting with the customer, then I can sort of know the whole history of this person. Like, that, okay, this is the background of this person, this is the age, this is the gender, this is where they live, and these are their preferences. And like, customers have different preferences, right? Like, for example, I have an e-commerce stores. So, some people may be looking for budget-friendly options. And for them, getting something within their budget might matter a lot. And some people might be looking for products which have a lot of novelty, and which may be like, a bit high end or unique or a more luxurious experience. And of course, so, depending on the demographics of these customers, my interaction can vary with them a lot, and I can give them, different kinds of, offers and discounts and memberships and so on, just so, that AI can assist me by telling me what the history of this person has been, and also assist me in real time. For example, if a person is having some XYZ query, then an AI can help me address that customer better. Now coming to agent self-improvement. So of course, this is like, if I am a customer support person, then, AI can of course help me do my homework better. Like my homework involves, like, for example, I am the representative at HDFC and I have customers who have HDFC bank accounts. So now, when I do my homework, AI can help me sort of tell me that, oh, okay, this is the, the monthly amount of transaction this person is doing. Perhaps you can sell them like, an offer for fixed deposit and stuff like that. So the AI can help me do a lot of homework, which can save my, like, a lot of time, and also like, can generate more personalized insights and, maybe a very customized follow-up messages or other kinds of like, tailored experiences. Okay, so this was all about how to make customer operations better. And now when it comes to strategic sales and marketing, so I'm pretty sure, like, when we were little, sales and marketing was very different. Most of the sales and marketing we saw generally through newspapers or on televisions, or sometimes we would put the FM and radio, and that's how we will get to know about products in general. But now that has changed, and fewer people now watch TV or listen to, like, music on the radio, or even read the newspaper. And most of these things are now happening online. And even the sales and marketing tactics have evolved to a very large extent. Like nowadays, we don't even realize, we have become very careful towards sales and marketing, but at the same time, we keep, like, buying a lot of products because, like, the whole tactic of sales and marketing has gone to another level. So, like, for example, if you browse Instagram and Facebook, you will see these ads which will be like, selling you plants or selling you, beauty products, or like, travel briefcases and many of the other things, depending on, like, what you browsed in within Instagram. So now sales and marketing also has evolved a lot. And generative AI can sort of help, sales and marketing professionals as well. So in the image, you can see, the whole sales team coming up with strategies to sort of for the sales strategy for their product. So sales and marketing teams can sort of gather a lot of market trends and customer information from unstructured data sources. So unstructured data sources means that, data is now no longer just in textual format, and it is coming from varied sources. So for example, if I have a product in my company, then my company will have, several kinds of online presence. There will be an Instagram page for my company, a Facebook page, some blog, some LinkedIn page, some videos I might have published. So unstructured data means a combination of all kinds of data like text, blog, social media posts, videos, audios, everything. So generative AI can sort of help sales and marketing teams to make sense of out of very large amounts of unstructured data sources coming in from news, research, and also customer feedback, and then draft effective marketing and sales communications around that. And of course, it will largely help in creating awareness. So customers can see campaigns tailored to their segment and language and also demographic. So for example, if I'm in a tier 2, tier 3 Indian city, then perhaps some other things might matter to me a lot. Like, being able to, manage my daily resources in a more budget friendly ways. Whereas if I'm living in big metro cities, then I might be looking for more unique or novel experiences. For example, go and attend concerts or go and see comedy shows or just go to travel somewhere. So, people within different cities and within demographics may have different needs, and sales and marketing people can sort of make use of generative AI to sort of tweak their campaigns to suit the demographic of the end customer. And then, of course, like me as a me as a just a lay person, I can, of course, since there is so much data available on the internet, and I just don't know who to believe and who not to believe, and where to get the data from, and who to trust. So for me, generative AI can sort of help me, collect all this information from a large number of resources and be able to summarize it for me. So for example, if I am starting up and I have my own startup and we are just 5 to 10 people, and I have to make a choice that, okay, which messaging app I should use. Should I use Slack? Should I use Microsoft Teams? Which one should I be using? So generative AI can sort of help me take that decision, and not just with small messaging apps. There are many tools which are competitors of each other. For example, there are many analytics tools available in the market, like Mixpanel and Amplitude and Pendo, and many of the product teams use it. So how to take the decision? So one way is that I can go to individual websites and I can check out their features, their pricing, this and that, and I can do trial, go into trial periods of all these products. Or generative AI can sort of help me to sort of make that decision faster and quicker depending on what my requirements are. So that is one benefit of generative AI when it comes to normal customers, lay people like you or me. And of course, this is no surprise. So sales and marketing professionals can use it for better retention. So in the image, you are seeing a robot talking to a girl through the phone. So customer supported chatbots are very much on the rise. And you are going to see more and more personalization in these chatbots in the coming times. Okay, so now coming to AI-assisted software engineering. So how can AI help software engineers? So you must have experimented already whether ChatGPT is able to write code for you or not. And generally, sometimes there will be memes and jokes around that, oh, ChatGPT writes code in 3 minutes and I need 3 hours to fix that code. So all those jokes aside, ChatGPT and generative AI also has a lot of applications in software engineering. So which may not directly be code related, but related to the whole planning of the project, as well as during the testing phase and debugging phase. So now coming to the first use case, so generative AI can help in the inception and planning. So many of the engineering managers and product managers, for example, and of the software engineers, so generative AI can take in all your Jira tickets, for example, and other information related to your product. And then It can help you analyze the complexity of all your tasks, and how much effort it is going to take, what is going to be the time estimation to complete it. And also, if you have a lot of user feedback coming in from various resources, like people giving you ratings, people giving you comments on your products, so that can sort of like help you make a faster decision regarding like what is the next feature you should be building. So for example, if I have been receiving complaints from customers since this month, that okay, this thing is like buggy and doesn't really work well in your product, or they keep making requests that it would be better if you implement this particular thing. So generative AI can tell me that hey, since the past 6 months, different customers have been asking for this thing, that out of 100% of your customers, 25% of your customers have requested for this feature in the past 6 months. So those are very vital statistics which generative AI can help me as an engineering manager and a product manager to sort of like, decide what we are going to build in our next sprint. Also, for directly for engineers, yeah, like ChatGPT may not be, generative AI may not be able to write extremely like versatile code which you can directly use in your product. You of course will need to make certain modifications and tweaks over it, but still it does a very good job at explaining at least beginner level engineers how to write a code for implementing a certain functionality. And of course, for like if you are slightly a non-entry level engineer, then you could use generative AI to sort of create IT architecture designs and sort of iterate on the potential configurations, and it can help you sort of improve the time you take to come up with your system design, or just how data is going to flow within your system. And of course, when it comes to coding, so it can sort of help you just create like basic skeletons of your code and just like drafts. And or you could like, and there are many of the startups which recently came up, and some of them were backed by Y Combinator as well. What they can do is that you can put a generative AI bot on your code base, and it can slowly learn what part of your code base does what, and it can serve as a knowledge base for your code. So that is also another application. And of course, when it comes to testing, so engineers can sort of employ algorithms that can enhance the functional and performance testing to ensure the quality and generate test cases and test data automatically. So a lot of like, if you talk to people in testing or QA, so some of their tasks like, might be slightly repetitive in nature, especially when it comes to manual testing. So they can sort of, if generative AI can sort of help you, if you give it the product requirements documentation, the PRD, and some other related documentation which might exist for your product already. If you give it that, and if you give it like Jira tickets or your PRD or other descriptions of your design, then it can generate the steps of the manual test cases and also generate synthetic data. And it can help you with to sort of slightly accelerate your functional and performance testing. And lastly, creating code on your computer is one thing, but deploying it on the cloud or making it available to end users is whole another business. And maintaining the software is a big, big task in itself. And engineers can sort of use generative AI to get insights on system logs and user feedback and performance data, and help fix issues and predict other high priority areas of improvement. So it can help a lot within IT and system maintenance aspects. Now coming to R&D or research and development. So this is especially for individuals who might be into more niche kind of science and technology fields, which are more research focused. So some of the applications which generative AI can have include having virtual design and virtual simulations. So researchers can sort of use AI to generate prompt-based drafts and designs for their product. So for example, if I have, a robotics company, like a robot which cleans or sort of detects faults in solar panels, for example. So if I have a robot automation company like that, and if I need to now release a new line of product, so AI can sort of help me create designs for it and also accelerate and optimize the virtual simulation phase when I can combine it with new deep learning generative AI design techniques. So basically, it can help me a lot with coming up the design and also virtual simulations. Okay, so now coming in to how AI can impact, the retail experience for end users and how the retail experience or the e-commerce experience can be transformed with help of generative AI. So, of course, accelerated creativity and innovation. So, generative AI can help with faster copywriting and more creative marketing idea brainstorming and also creating content more easily. But of course, it has its limitations. I'm pretty sure you might have received, LinkedIn messages or emails, and you look at them and you say, hey, this is written by ChatGPT. This person used ChatGPT to write this. So of course, ChatGPT and generative AI has certain, thresholds beyond which it does not give you more creative or more original outputs. But many of, the tasks and daily things require a certain level of formality. So for example, writing emails, writing cover letters, applying for jobs. So yeah, I mean, they do require a certain amount of, formal language. And if you maybe, if you need more creative ideas on how you can sort of write those emails to convince the end customer, or if you're applying for a job and writing a cover letter, so ChatGPT can sort of at least give you basic bullet points. So you can take those bullet points and then, of course, develop your own ideas over them. So, like as always, AI is not going to replace humans, of course, because the originality and creativity of humans is still more when it compared to generative AI. But it helps you put out your campaigns and improve the retail experience for your customers a lot by making your campaigns more creative and more innovative. And then many other value creation opportunities as well. So first is visualizing products based on customer preferences and improving the overall shopping experience. So for example, if I am somebody who is younger, or maybe like Gen Z, or maybe even younger, a person between 16 to 22 years of age. So for me, different things may be appealing to me compared to someone who is a millennial, for example, 30-year-old, or somebody who is even slightly older. So, being able to put out your product and offerings based on the demographics of the end user. Some people may prefer, fun stuff, fun indie DIY kind of stuff. Some people may prefer more elite, classy, elegant stuff. Some people may prefer stuff which is more technology oriented and utilitarian and a bit more inclining towards logic. So based on the different demographics of a customer, you can put out the same message in different ways and sort of improve your retail experience as well and sell products depending on the demographic of the end user. And there will, of course, be a lot of opportunities for cross-selling and upselling and collecting insights to improve product offerings. So of course, cross-selling, upselling algorithms we have seen already since some time now on Amazon and everything. But now with the help of generative AI, you can make it even more customized. So for example, if I'm buying, you can say a Bluetooth mouse. So now it can suggest me some other things to go with the Bluetooth mouse, like a mouse pad, or maybe Bluetooth earphones, or maybe some other things I may have browsed in the past or expressed interest in. So a lot of just the level of personalization is going to become more advanced in the coming years, and you are going to see how, all the big companies of the world leverage this personalization to create content and products just for you. Okay, so now just coming to the last section of our talk, and then we can talk about any questions you may have or any suggestions. So now, what are some of the risks and rewards with generative AI? So first, of course, is the concern about intellectual property and accuracy of the generated content. So you might have already seen, like last year, when Stable Diffusion and DALI and all these softwares were released, there was a lot of chaos created in the art community, especially because they were worried that all the Stable Diffusion and DALL-E has been trained on their artworks and without their permission. So there are always these debates which will be ongoing regarding intellectual property and also the accuracy of generated content. So you might have already observed by now, if you use ChatGPT extensively, you will discover that sometimes it just gives you answer to convince you, like just to make you and of course, it will have concerns related to fairness, that there should be no bias when it comes to the outputs generated by any generative AI software, and privacy and security concerns. So all the stakeholders must address the risks responsibly from the start, including intellectual property, privacy, security, etc. And everyone who is sort of training on other data sets which are not publicly available, they should of course first tie up with the providers of those data sets and then only sort of use generative AI over them. Or at least if you are using any third-party source, you should at least mention it as a citation or mention it as a reference or give due credit to whoever you borrowed stuff from or trained your AI on. And then of course, there has been a lot of panic and fear amongst everyone that generative AI is going to replace people. It is going to replace marketing professionals or customer operations people or engineers also and product managers and virtually everyone. But of course, just like how we saw, earlier in 2000s, the World Wide Web was invented, and then suddenly everyone could sort of write programs and make websites. So then the bar was raised, and then people demanded that, oh, how can you make websites more interactive? How can you make the data more dynamic? And then interactive websites came, and then the bar was raised again, and many people learned how to create interactive websites. Then internet evolved even more, and then apps came, and then everyone was afraid again that, hey, now everyone will know how to create apps. What's going to happen to all of us who are creating apps and whatnot? So the bar was again raised, and then now we see apps which are very sophisticated and they have great UIs and wonderful customer experiences. So it's just that, the fear and panic may not be that realistic when it comes to AI, because AI is still very, very narrow and trained on very, very narrow domains. And of course, AI is very smart. It can beat you at chess, and it can do excellent image recognition and read thousands and thousands of research papers in very small amount of time. So in those areas, of course, AI has beaten humans. But as always, it was earlier also, it was only originality and creativity which was rewarded, and even now only originality and creativity is going to be rewarded. So there's no need for the fear and panic around AI so much. The need of the hour is to sort of just address that, oh, okay, these are the certain occupations or roles which are going to be automated by AI. So now it will be upon the individuals themselves to sort of upskill themselves in other areas, so that they can try out newer occupations. And in general, everyone, it's generally advisable that you upskill yourself every 4 or 5 years. So for example, if 4 or 5 years you learned full stack development, then maybe in the next 4 or 5 years you will have to learn data science. Then maybe in the next 4 or 5 years you will have to learn, I don't know, something more advanced like deep learning or something, or other advanced optimization things. So it is very reasonable to being for you and me to upskill ourselves, So the economic challenges will obviously be around like, us being able to learn new things and upskill ourselves so that we are not made redundant by AI. And of course, like, the policymakers and people in big companies who sort of like, call the shots. So they should obviously have some like, programs, because those companies are generally very rich. Policymakers have a lot of funding from the government, so they should make, a good use of it and sort of help these individuals retrain themselves and sort of put policies in place to prevent the harmful use of generative AI. So I think that's pretty much it from my end. And then now I will just pause and see if you may have any questions, or otherwise, you can email me or message me on LinkedIn, and I will be happy to chat with you.